So my name is Mike Watts, and I've lived on the lake since 2005. Up until 2 years ago, I was on the board for 16 years. 8 of those years as vice president and 3 as president.
And you can look at me. And I'll make faces at you.
Okay.
So you were president when the dam spillway was, so you were president when we did dam spillway improvements. Tell us a little bit about what was happening during that time.
Correct. It actually goes back even beyond then. I was the dam committee chair for 12 years. The IDNR, Powell Maurer, came to us after we had to do a series of improvements to the existing spillway at that time, basically stating that with all the new influxes of the water flow, that our dam did not meet the requirements that our actual dam itself could handle the amount of water. So he gave us a set number of years to have these improvements done. Largest was being the current opening of 35 feet had to be expanded to 90 feet. So obviously, being landlocked, we worked with engineers from Hearst Roche, came up with a plan that we would use a drop weir. Basically, if you look out to the existing dam, it allows the water now to come over 3 sides. So it's 35 by 20, which allows us to have our 90 feet without having to tear into the dam. So that was the main core of that. It also allowed better, as it flows down the spillway, slowing the water down and not disrupting any flow further downstream. So largest impact of that is the existing silo that's in the lake now. That's 80 years old. That was fine for when the lake was first built and the water inflow at that time. As you can tell, we've had quite a bit of more influx of water flow into the lake. So 1969 is when the original, they called it an emergency spillway, was built. The silo is at an elevation of 510 feet above sea level, that's the normal pool of the lake. The emergency spillway was at 511. So the lake had to raise up a foot before that would even engage. So what we did with the new spillway to take pressure off of the old silo, it's built at an elevation of 510, the same elevation as the silo. So what that allows us to do is get the silo activated much quickly, and it allows us also to get the water out of the lake faster. So where you saw in the past, we could have fluctuations between 3 to 4 feet, we're now at about only 6 to 8 inches. And that does multiple things. A lot of residents, seawalls, and things like that, the water would come up, and as it would recede, it would pull it back and it would damage seawalls. Plus, it's less stress that we're putting on the dam itself. And that's the big key right there, is to get the water out so that we're not stressing the dam.
Less stress on the dam, that makes sense.
Yes.
So when did the construction project start?
Construction started last fall, or last winter actually. We had...
Tell us what year that was.
It's 2022.
Okay, so start again.
Okay, actually it was 21, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess so the construction on the new spillway here began the winter of 20 into the spring of 21. We had worked with Hearst Roche, again, our engineers, to define the plans for the new spillway. It was completed early May of 2021.
Nice. Were there big challenges during the project?
Yes, big challenges as far as keeping the water level down, removing the existing structure that was there without damaging any of the existing earthen dam structure. Because our lake has one of the largest earthen dams in the state, which we were quickly told we would never be able to build a dam this big out of earth, in the future, or nobody would. And so we had to make sure we didn't disturb our existing structure.
Steel reinforced now?
Oh, the new spillway.
If they were to build the dam now, it would be steel reinforced.
It would be all concrete. Yes, it would not be earthen.
So what were you going to say about the spillway itself?
So the spillway itself is fully rebarred and thick and much more streamlined than what was previously there. It keeps the water level going over the spillway at a much shallower level than what was before. The previous spillway, we had about 36 inches deep of water that could possibly go over, which was causing a lot of havoc because the way the existing structure was, it tried to spin the water in an S shape to slow it down, which actually, when we started getting those high levels of water, it was like putting your thumb on a hose. It was shooting it clean over all of our diffusers, which was basically going into the hillside and just eroding out that back water, or back wall, I should say. So this one here now, it's much shallower, it's slower, plus we have bigger concrete reinforced sharp teeth at the bottom that you see that slows the water down, and then so when it flows out, it's at a much slower pace and it's not damaging the sidewalls.
Cool. What does this mean for the residents?
For the residents, it means that one, we've taken a lot of pressure off the actual dam, which will increase its longevity, less maintenance on a 60 plus year old structure, and it just keeps the lake at a consistent level so we don't have such large fluctuations when we have storms. We definitely saw, especially with the recent enhancements that Glen Carbon is doing, where 43 acres of trees right there on 159 and Governor's Parkway were removed. All that water runoff flows to the lake. So that's water that will be coming here much faster than what has in the previous past because of all the trees that could have absorbed it. So us preparing and having something ready to handle another influx of water is very key in us being able to sustain our lake.
What would you like future generations to know about this dam?
It's been here 80 years. There's been enhancements to help it along to handle the changes in the environment and the changes in the surrounding infrastructure of Edwardsville, and take care of it, and it should be lasting, another 80 years.
That'd be great. Anything else you want to add before, and then I'll just hit you with some of the history questions.
It's just, this isn't just something that, the board is responsible for maintaining or being, the keepers of. It's all of our lake, and we all have our own responsibility. If you see something, pick it up. If don't just sit there and relay on, hey, the board needs to do this. It's everybody's lake. Take pride and ownership of it, and it'll be around for your children's children, and it'll be around. It's a very big asset for this community.
It is indeed. So what brought you to the lake originally?
My wife's family, she had an aunt and uncle who had lived here, so she grew up coming and visiting here, and I had visited some friends here. I lived a couple miles away, and then the opportunity arose. We jumped on a chance to move out here.
What are some of your earliest memories of living on the lake?
Earliest memories, I would say, when I moved out here, my kids were one was in grade school, the other one was middle school, and just watching them grow up on the lake and their friends coming out, and it always amazes me how many people around town have no idea this lake's here. They'll drive past on Schwartz, going past the dam every day, and have no idea there's a lake here. And it's just, like I said, it's a gem of the city. You don't find too many residential lakes of this size inside of city limits.
Yep. Quality of life is huge. What are some of the major events that have taken place around the lake during your time here? Actually, start with what year did you move here?
I moved here in 2005.
Okay, so what major events have taken place on and around the lake since 2005?
There's been quite a few. Obviously, I was asked to join the board in 2006. I finished a term of somebody who had moved away, so I finished their term, and then I stayed on for an additional 5 more 3-year terms after that. But a lot of different growth around the houses, a lot of up, basically, basically a lot of updating of houses that were here. Obviously the shoreline maintenance and things like that has really stepped up. One of the things that I was responsible for was, I grew up in Litchfield, where 4th of July timeframe fireworks were a big event and brought the community together. So I got that implemented here while I was on the board, and kind of been in charge of that ever since. And that's one of the biggest gatherings of the lake community. I think you'll see that night is obviously the most amount of boats you'll ever see out on this lake at one time. And I think the membership has really gotten in to embrace the fireworks night. So that's been one that's kind of joined the community together. I think the social committee has done a lot to kind of make it, to try to get people out and use the lake and bring people together, different events. One of the biggest things that I've seen is the number of young families that are out here now. When I moved out here, there wasn't a whole lot of young kids that you saw out swimming, and now you come out and it's definitely the turnover of folks. A lot of young families new out here, which is great to see. When I first moved out here, if you came and 7 or 8 boats were out here in the deep end swimming, that was a busy day. And now it's nice to see people out using the lake and and enjoying where they live.
What advice would you give to someone who's new on the lake?
Get involved. It's one way to, you don't necessarily have to join the board. You can be on committees and things without being, an elected board member. But I'd say get involved. Everybody's has an ownership stake in this lake, and, we're all affected with what happens with it. And so get involved. It's a great way to meet new people and, and get involved and be able to enjoy all the amenities that the lake offers.